Movie deals aren't anything new with Warriors. Many years ago, Vicky mentioned that they were in talks with studios, but they decided that Warriors wasn't the type of content to do well at the time. And the first time the rights were actually bought was in 2016 by Alibaba Pictures, which didn't end up coming to fruition. And then back in January of this year, 2024 if you're viewing this later, they announced that the rights were bought again, and a new Warriors animation deal was made with a major Chinese company called Tencent Video. Due to the book's past history with movie deals, while we were excited, we also decided not to get our hopes up too much until we saw if this one actually went anywhere. So far, all we'd known is the companies involved, that the rights are for TV and film, and that it'll be an animation, and if the Edelweiss catalog is to be believed, it's going to be a series about the first arc. And now we've gotten an update that, for now at least, they are making some very early progress on it. There was recently a presentation during what appears to be Tencent's Video Animation Awards, at least that's what my browser's automatically translated title calls it, where they discussed the Warriors animation a very small bit and shared a short video of concept art. Without being able to speak or read Chinese, or getting a full translation from any native speakers, I've done a lot of work to gain the fullest understanding I could in order to present it to you guys. So just to explain my process, I use two methods to translate what the presenter is saying, using my browser to automatically translate the subtitles on the video hosting website, and also using an audio transcription service called Nada to create subtitles for the audio and then put it into Google Translate. For the text they displayed on screen, I use Google Images to recognize and translate it. So don't take everything here as 100% word for word, because I don't speak the language, and it's very well possible that there may have been errors or inaccuracies in the captioning systems or translations, but it should be at least reasonably close. So just to go over the general screen here, you can see that these bits in the top corners and the banner at the bottom are just general labels for the presentation and aren't specific to Warriors. Now if you watch the video, you may notice text scrolling across the top of the screen. What these are actually viewer comments on the website hosting the video that can be toggled on and off, not part of the presentation, which caused some confusion among English-speaking fans when the video first came out. So we can ignore that scrolling text or just plain turn it off. Now as far as the presentation, various articles explain that the whole thing was split into 3 sections. Warriors was part of the second section, which according to this automated translation of this blog post, is a collection of 3D animation works that embodies an unconventional, shocking attitude. So that may mean that Warriors will be 3D animation rather than traditional animation, but that hasn't actually been confirmed as far as I'm aware. And now specifically onto the Warriors section. And first, can we appreciate this night sky design they have here? It's a nice touch. Anyway, the presenter, who I believe is the vice president of Tencent Video, started out first by mentioning that she wanted to introduce a fairly new project and explained what Warriors is, a British book series with translations in many languages around the world, and that Tencent bought the rights. She said that they're in the process of adapting and creating it right now and that it's very hard. Well, they're working with artists, both Chinese and international, mentioning one artist by name. I feel it's important to emphasize this since a lot of the discussion in the fandom since this video came out is about whether the art is AI. I'll go into more depth on that later, but this tells us that there are actual artists involved. She mentioned that they wanted to share some current design drafts and that there's a video. The center text here is just a label about the presentation in general. The text that flashes on screen at the start of the video says Early Visual Exploration. So yeah, just to be clear, this is early concept art, nowhere near final, and subject to change. So now I'll show the video itself. I'll go over each image later on, so you don't have to sit and pause it here if you want a longer look at it. video, she spoke a little bit more about it. Part of it was about whether the cats are going to be quadrupedal like real cats or stand on 2 legs, and apparently they've talked about this a lot. Now, this is the part that, without speaking the language, is the least clear to me out of the whole presentation, since both of my captioning and translating methods interpreted it a little bit differently. One of them translated it as the following: "We will see whether the cat is completely 4-legged or can stand up." The other says, "We will see that in the end the cat is fully 4-legged, still will stand up." So are they still deciding whether to make the cats 2-legged or 4-legged? Or did they decide that the cats are 4-legged with the ability to stand, like the Char from Guild Wars who sprint on all 4s but otherwise are bipedal? By the way, I downloaded the game for the first time in 10 years just to get the footage I wanted for this video. Either way, the fact that this is even up for debate seems to show a fundamental lack of understanding of the source material and its fandom. Sure, the series has its fantasy elements, but at its core, it's about actual cats living in the human world and having their own viewpoint of things that are normal to us. It's part of what makes the series so appealing. If you turn it into more of a fantasy world where the cats walk around on 2 feet and wear clothing and wield weapons, yeah, that might be cool, but it's not warriors. You take away a key part of what makes the series what it is. I really hope that this isn't what they ultimately go with. I'd rather have no adaptation than one that's not faithful to the books. We've all seen what happens when companies and directors think they have a better idea than the source material that became popular in the first place. But yeah, so far, most of the concept art seems to show 4-legged cats, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. Anyway, the last thing that she discussed is that they're developing this with the intent to distribute it globally, not just in China. So if it does make it all the way to production, hopefully we'll all get to see it. It's good to hear that this is the plan right from the start. By the way, the text they have on screen at the end just repeats some of their talking points: how many countries it's sold in and copies sold, that they're working with international artists, and are developing it with global distribution in mind. The last thing I want to discuss before breaking down the teaser video is a common point of discussion: whether the art is created by AI or not. That was many people's first reaction upon seeing it, including some of the viewers' reactions on the website, which confused English speakers who weren't aware that these were fan comments and thought they might be official labels. Tencent has spoken in the past about their intent to use AI in projects. In an article back in fall of 2023, they said the following: "Our aim is to free creators from mundane, repetitive tasks to focus on advancing their art and creating quality content which can be appreciated not only by Chinese audiences, but also viewers elsewhere in the world." So, are these concept images made by AI? Well, as far as we can tell, the answer seems to be mostly no, they're not, but 3 specific images did at least partially use it. For this StarClan image and the one with Yellowfang right afterward, there's a small disclaimer on the bottom left here, and on this one where both those appear, it's on the top left. If we stick into Google Images to translate it, it says, "Combining AI technology to create reference images." Now we don't know to what extent they used AI. Was it just to add textures or the galaxy effect, with the majority of it drawn by hand? We also don't know exactly what type of AI it is. Is it one of those that was trained on random artists' work without consent? Or was it something they developed fully themselves in-house for specific purposes? While it's still disappointing to see the use of AI in the creative process at all, at least it seems to be only those 3 images, and even those only partially. Remember the quote they said earlier, where they're working with Chinese and international artists. So since only these 3 images have that label, it sounds like the rest of it at least is made by actual artists. So don't discount all of the concept art just for that. As a sidebar here, I did take a look at the specific artist they mentioned, Momo Wang. They mentioned her as the original creator of Tuski, which is an emoji character she made as a college student in 2006 that became an extremely popular branded character in China. Nowadays, she's an artist, director, and animator who works for Illumination. Looking at a short film she wrote and designed called Penglai, I'm guessing she made the trippy StarClan images in this picture since the style is very similar. Honestly, to me it doesn't feel like a style that fits with warriors, but it's still cool that they got someone so high profile to do even just concept art. Anyway, before we wrap up here, let's break the video down and take a closer look at the images they showed. Note that many of these images also appeared in a GIF in a Weibo post, so I might stick those in afterward where I feel like more is shown than in the original video. And actually there was one image that was in the post that wasn't in the video, so here it is. So, after the title where it's labeled as Early Visual Exploration, we get a few flashes of what appear to be StarClan cats and the forest. The first two pictures are almost identical, with the biggest difference being that the cat on the left turned their head. The next two are also very similar, one more zoomed out and one more zoomed in with some pretty butterflies added. Now we got a slightly clearer version of these in the Weibo GIF, which are also a little more colorful. The closer image actually has two versions here, one where the cat on the left has wider eyes and one with more angular eyes. So this looks like it might be Fireheart receiving his 9 lives. And these are clearly sketches of Fireheart. I like the style of the ones on the far left personally. They have a bit of a Disney vibe to them and really show some personality and facial expressions. And then this is most likely Tiger Claw. I considered that Broken Star might have been a possibility if we were looking at the first book, but then these images don't depict Broken Star's bent tail, and Tiger Claw is a more iconic villain. I'm not a fan of the one in the top right, but the others look pretty decent. I think my favorite are the top middle two here, where you can see two different sides of him. The intimidating and serious warrior, who is also charismatic enough to have the complete trust of his clan and the ability to manipulate others. And then there's a sketch of what I'm guessing is supposed to be a StarClan cat meeting Fireheart, but this is one of those where they're bipedal and wearing clothing. Same with the next image that we get a few versions of. The first sketch is the most human-like, with their shape and posture being the most humanoid. Also, they're wearing cloaks with hoods. The second makes them a bit more cat-like, and it switches to them wearing capes. And the third is very close to it, and in color. But the key differences are that the cat on the left seems to be sitting like a quadrupedal cat rather than standing on 2 legs. And it adds one on the bottom here that seems to be on all 4s as well. Then we get a couple battle scenes, likely of Fireheart and Tiger Claw. Most of these have slightly fuller and wider versions in the Weibo GIF, but not as high resolution. So here's a couple. And then this one has several different iterations too. A grayscale sketch, a bright color version, a darker version, an almost identical one but with slightly different colors and red eyes. And this version where it appears to be at nighttime and Fireheart's on fire? The glow from it is even lighting up Tiger Claw's face. I hope this is just an effect to make the image look flashy and doesn't mean they intend to add cats that have elemental powers or something, because again, that's not warriors. After that are some concepts of StarClan cats. This image is one that has the combining AI technology label at the bottom and seems to depict Yellowfang, Blue Star, and Spotted Leaf in a slightly more realistic style. The one after that, also with the AI label, is labeled as Yellowfang. The next few are a more stylized take on StarClan, and these are the ones I suspect are by Momo Wang. The Weibo GIF does actually label these cats by name, and includes what appear to be reference or inspiration images. So here's Blue Star, Spotted Leaf, and Yellowfang. And then probably Fireheart, again on fire. This one also has that AI label and uses some of the same images, but adds more cats and Fireheart on the bottom. And here's a similar image with the pictures that I think are by Momo Wang. According to Google, this says common expectations, and I'm not sure what they mean by that. The next part had a series of images flashing by very quickly and very blurry, even with the video at 1080p. So these are the best screen caps I could get. And this looks like another battle scene between Fireheart and Tiger Claw. Then 2 flashes of anthropomorphized cats, one that seems to be more grayscale, and one that looks kind of like a very blurry Blue Star holding a staff. Maybe this is Tiger Claw or some other cat. Another Fireheart, and a sketch of some very unamused looking cat. This one's a bit hard to tell. Maybe it's a black and white cat like Tall Star, or maybe there might be some brown in there, so it could be a tortoiseshell like Spotted Leaf. This one shows several cats that are also hard to see. My guesses are maybe Fireheart, Lionheart, Cloudtail, and maybe Ravenpaw. And this looks like an earlier sketch of the ones we saw at the start of the video. Since it's gray, the cats are in a different position, are slightly different shapes, and seem to have stars on their forehead. The rest of it is just images we have already seen, and the video ends with the early visual exploration label again, and based on the book series by Aaron Hunter from Kulabi's Working Partners Limited. So that pretty much sums it up. I basically went over my thoughts already within the video. Basically, I just wanted to pick this apart to get as much information as I could and thoroughly lay out everything that I can find. Even though the entire warrior section was only 3 minutes long, and the concept art video less than a minute, it still gave us a lot of information to think about. And it's more than we ever got with the previous movie deal. I definitely do have some concerns, as I discussed in the video, namely the possible bipedal cats, but this is still a very, very early stage of production. I don't know how much they'll see of non-Chinese speaking fans discussing it, but hopefully if the global warriors community sees, shares, and reacts to this art, it'll give them a better idea of what we're looking for. There were also quite a few things in here that did look good, so let's not forget that too. Well, that's all for this time. Hopefully it won't be too long until they give us more information to discuss, and if so, hopefully whatever they show will be even better.